Karen's voice sliced through the quiet of Elmwood Drive like a chainsaw through butter. "This yard is a disgrace," she bellowed, her floral dress flapping as she stormed across my lawn, her phone already recording like she was Spielberg directing a blockbuster takedown. I watched from my porch, coffee mug in hand, as Karen, the HOA's self-appointed dictator, trampled my daisies. Her face, puffed with indignation and too much blush, was a caricature of entitlement. She'd been hounding me for weeks about my non-compliant mailbox too blue, apparently, for her beige utopia. But today she'd crossed a line. A big one. She didn't know I was a cop, and she definitely didn't know I had cameras. The trouble started 3 months ago when I moved into this quiet cul-de-sac. Elmwood was the kind of place where kids rode bikes and neighbors waved until Karen rolled in. At 300 pounds, with a voice that could curdle milk, she ruled the HOA like a queen with a grudge. Her rules were gospel. No bright colors, no unapproved shrubs, no stepping out of line. My mailbox, a cheerful cobalt I'd painted to honor my late dad, was her latest obsession. "It's an eyesore," she'd shrieked at the last meeting. Ignoring the fact that everyone else liked it, I'd shrugged it off, thinking she'd tire herself out. I was wrong. This morning, I'd woken to a note taped to my door, written in Karen's aggressive scrawl, "Fix your mailbox or face fines." I chuckled, tossing it in the recycling. I'm a detective, not a pushover. I deal with real crime: burglaries, assaults, the occasional drug bust. A mailbox dispute wasn't worth my coffee break. But Karen didn't stop at notes. By noon, she was at it again, this time with her phone out, narrating her crusade like a reality TV star. "Your grass is half an inch too long," she yelled, pointing at my lawn as if it had personally insulted her. Neighbors peeked from their windows, some amused, others exasperated. Mr. Jenkins, the retired mechanic next door, clutched his rake like a weapon, muttering about "that woman." Mrs. Alvarez, the sweet widow across the street, just shook her head, arms crossed, her patience worn thin by years of Karen's tirades. I stepped off the porch, keeping my tone calm. "Karen, you're on my property. Please leave." She spun around, her sunglasses sliding down her nose. "This is HOA business. I have every right to inspect violations." Her voice dripped with condescension, as if I were a child caught stealing cookies. "You'll hear from the board, young man. And trust me, you'll regret this." I raised an eyebrow. "Young man? I'm 38, Karen, and I'd like you to leave. Now." She scoffed, undeterred, and marched toward my front door. My jaw tightened. I dealt with worse gang members, con artists, but Karen's audacity was something else. Before I could stop her, she pushed my door open and barged inside. My home, my sanctuary, the place where I kept my badge, my service weapon, and the memories of my dad, who'd taught me to stand up to bullies like her. "Karen!" I shouted, following her in. She was already in my living room, snapping photos of my furniture, muttering about clutter violations. My blood boiled. "You're trespassing. Get out." She turned, smirking. "Trespassing? Please, I'm documenting for the board. You'll thank me when your property value doesn't tank." Her smugness was unbearable, her belief that she was untouchable infuriating. She didn't know I'd installed security cameras after a string of break-ins in the county. Every move she made was being recorded. I took a deep breath, channeling my training. "Last chance, Karen. Leave, or I'm calling the police." She laughed, a grating, hyena-like sound. "Go ahead. They'll side with me. I'm protecting this neighborhood." That was it. I pulled out my phone and dialed dispatch, keeping my eyes on her. "This is Detective Ryan Carter. I need a unit at 142 Elmwood Drive. Trespassing in progress." Karen's smirk faltered, her eyes narrowing. "Detective?" she sputtered, but she didn't back down. Instead, she doubled down, pointing her phone at me like a weapon. "You're threatening me? I'm filing a complaint. You'll lose your badge for this." I almost laughed. Almost. "Karen, you're in my house without permission. That's a crime. And I've got it all on tape." I pointed to the small camera tucked discreetly above the fireplace. Her face went pale, but she didn't budge. She was too deep in her own delusion, convinced her HOA rulebook was law. Minutes later, a patrol car pulled up. Officer Daniels, a colleague I'd known for years, stepped out, his expression a mix of amusement and disbelief. "Ryan, what's going on?" Karen launched into a tirade before I could speak. "This man's harassing me. His property's a mess. And he threatened me when I tried to enforce HOA rules." She waved her phone, showing blurry photos of my living room. Daniels glanced at me, one eyebrow raised. He knew me too well to buy her story. "Ma'am," Daniels said, his voice calm but firm, "did you enter this man's home without his consent?" Karen froze, then recovered. "I'm the HOA president. I have authority." "No, you don't," I cut in. "You're not law enforcement. You're not even supposed to be on my property." I handed Daniels my phone, already cued to the security footage. He watched, his lips twitching as Karen's voice blared through the speakers, berating my ugly curtains. Daniels turned to her. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me. Trespassing is a serious offense." Karen's jaw dropped. "You're arresting me? For doing my job?" She pointed at me, her voice rising to a shriek. "He's the criminal. His mailbox is a violation." Daniels didn't flinch. "Ma'am, you entered a private residence without permission. That's a crime. Let's go." As he escorted her to the patrol car, Karen's bravado crumbled. She started pleading, then crying, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. The neighbors, now gathered on their lawns, watched in stunned silence. Mr. Jenkins gave me a thumbs up, and Mrs. Alvarez mouthed, "Thank you." But the story didn't end there. Karen, true to form, didn't go quietly. The next day, she filed a criminal complaint against me, claiming I'd assaulted her by intimidating her with my badge. She even posted a tearful video on the neighborhood's social media group, painting herself as the victim. "This man's a menace," she wailed, holding up a tissue like it was an Oscar. The comments were brutal. Most neighbors called her out, sharing their own stories of her bullying. "Karen tried to fine me for my dog's bark," one wrote. "She told me my roses were too red," another added. I wasn't worried. The security footage was ironclad, and Daniels had already submitted his report. When the case reached the precinct, my captain laughed so hard he nearly spilled his coffee. "She picked the wrong guy to mess with," he said, shaking his head. The complaint was dismissed within hours, and Karen was formally charged with trespassing and harassment. The HOA meeting the following week was electric. Karen showed up, still defiant, but the room turned on her. Neighbors recounted years of her overreach, fining people for minor infractions, berating kids for chalk drawings, even trying to ban holiday lights. Mr. Jenkins stood up, his voice steady. "You've terrorized this neighborhood long enough. Step down, Karen." The vote was unanimous. She was ousted as president. Karen's reign was over, but the fallout lingered. She sold her house a month later, unable to face the neighbors she'd alienated. As her moving van pulled away, I stood on my porch, my blue mailbox gleaming in the sun. Mrs. Alvarez brought me a plate of cookies, her smile warm. "You did us all a favor, Ryan," she said. "This place feels like home again." I learned later that Karen tried her antics in her new neighborhood, only to face similar pushback. Some people never learn. But Elmwood Drive is quieter now. Kids draw on the sidewalks, and mailboxes come in every color of the rainbow. Justice, it turns out, is a beautiful thing. The end.